Hi everyone. We are back here at FikaAI and we are live at DevNexus. My name is Yolande Poirier from Neo4j and my guest is Jeanne.
Jeanne, like blue jeans.
Oh,
Yeah.
Jeanne. Okay, sorry. Jeanne and your last name I forgot.
Boyarsky.
Boyarsky. Okay, I didn't want to butcher it.
Yeah, that was the hard part.
So, Jeanne, you've been in training and education on Java like for a long time.
Yes, well over a decade.
So what's new? What's happening? Like, do you do anything special right now?
Yeah, so it's been really interesting seeing the impact of AI on books. I've been tech editing Paul Deitel and Harvey Deitel's new version of How to Program in Java, and you might have heard of that book because it's been around like forever. But they added a lot of Gen AI stuff to it. So like each chapter has Gen AI exercises at the end. It has things in it about Gen AI. They have a whole chapter on Gen AI. But what's really interesting to me is how they embedded it in the chapter. Because it'll be like, they're talking about something and then it's like, and go ask Gen AI this. So it was like a way of fitting in things that were either current events or don't really fit in the book, but you might be wondering about. That they had stuff about, ask Gen AI to generate this code, compare the differences, ask why it did this. So like it's teaching people who are new to programming how to discover stuff with Gen AI and not just use it as code dump. And I thought that was a really interesting technique of, how to learn, but also how to learn with AI and not so much AI is going to replace you, but how to collaborate.
Okay. So a lot of prompting, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
I mean, are they also like teaching a little bit like the data side of it?
No,
things?
because it's an intro level book. The goal
Okay.
of the book is to teach people Java, but the amount of AI they were able to throw in there is really good.
Cool.
And what I like about that is it'll help them as they're learning other things with starting with that approach, because then you get a book that has nothing to do with AI and doesn't even mention AI, or it's a little older, right? Like my book just came out, Real World Java, which is for people who learn the language but aren't ready for a book on like Spring because it assumes Git and Maven, Git, right, all these other things. So if you have a book like this and you've been trained to think with AI, you're going to use it to go deeper. It's like, oh, I read about this. Well, let me go ask AI X, Y, and Z. Or, oh, well, I read about this. Let me ask AI what some other things are I should learn. So I like the idea of using AI to think about how to learn. And even for my CERT book, right, the CERT clearly doesn't use or mention AI. It's a CERT. You can't use AI while you're taking the CERT. But you can use it to study for the cert. Right, like I'm having trouble with Java records. Hey, AI, give me 5 certification style questions or multiple choice questions, or give me something that I could code in order to understand this concept more. So I feel like AI has this huge amount of potential to use as a tool, and it hardly ever gets talked about. When you look about AI in education, you see a lot of, well, now we have to go back to open book tests because people might cheat. And it's like,
Right.
sure, yes, there's something to that, but that's just such a small fraction of why AI is important in education.
I feel like we are all using the AI that way to discover more things, but nobody really wants to talk about it because
Right.
we kind of all, we hide in a way, right? Because we don't want to everybody to know, okay, so I use it every week.
Yeah.
Maybe sometimes every day.
And people are using it in their jobs. There are
Right.
some companies where like they measure how much you use AI, and if you don't use it enough, you get a talking to because they're worried that their people won't learn and change. So
Right.
you get what you measure. So if what you measure is people using AI, you'll get them to do it, and they'll see how they can do things faster and better. But on the education front, we don't talk enough about how to use it productively, and that was why I signed up. I was like, ooh, an opportunity to talk about this. This is great.
So, and would you change your book now if you had to rethink, redo the book and with AI?
I don't think I would. I did use AI some in writing the book, but I'm back to that in a minute. But in terms of the sticking AI in it like Paul did, I think no, because there's enough content-wise. I don't think you have to stick AI everywhere. What I used AI for when writing the book is I wrote each of my chapter outlines, and then I asked AI for stuff that I missed. And some of the stuff that I missed, I did not include because it was stupid. But there were definitely a few things where it's like, oh my God, I can't believe I didn't think of that. And, my editor probably would have thought of it, but having it up front before I started writing allowed me to fit it in better in the chapter instead of shoehorning it in. But it was important to me that I started with an outline, because if you don't, you can use AI as a crutch and not think of the other things you would have thought thought of, right? By having it after I'm done with my outline, it's not going to bias me into forgetting things. It's going to serve as an extra brainstorming tool or an extra reviewer.
Right. I feel like it's almost like a little companion, right?
Yeah.
You can interact a lot.
Right.
And we get stuck a lot as well, right? I mean, it's the nature of the jobs, right?
Yes.
So giving that little boost of creativity is kind of nice.
Yeah. And you think about things different ways. If I'm learning something
Sure.
and I'm bored, I can use that, spice it up. I really like the asking AI to explain stuff as if I'm 10. One time I was bored, so I asked AI to explain something using a Lego example. It was something I knew. I just wanted to see whether it could do it. It did a really good job. Like, it took this complicated technical concept and explained it in terms of Legos because that was what I asked for. Like, that's fun.
Yeah, it's a great idea also for just like teaching other people, right? I mean, you could actually, it's a great example.
You can craft really good analogies without
Right.
a lot of effort.
Yeah. Yeah,
And there's no plagiarism risk there because it's not like I stole something someone else did. I just took two disparate concepts together, mashed them up, and been like, let's see what happens.
Right. Okay. And so, are you doing also live events? I always see you like doing training online and things.
I do some conferences. I do some
Okay.
Java user groups.
Okay. Cool.
I also I mentor the high school robotics team. That's
okay.
extremely time consuming, but very live. And it's been interesting their stuff with AI. So the organization is First Robotics, and a year or two ago they said teams were allowed to use AI. So that's great. And what was interesting was what happened. Some teams did it right away, especially the smaller teams. And some teams like mine were like, I'm a little skeptical about this because we have a lot of kids and, if AI generates too much of the code, what will they do? Right? And also the wanting to learn. So there hasn't been as much there. I use AI with the team, though. We have to write an essay every year for an award. And the kids write it, we all help brainstorm, and then you have to make it a certain number of characters. And it's always too long because it's easier to make things shorter. So the kids will get rid of a lot of the content, and then they'll send it to me because I'm really good at cutting characters. I've been doing this for 17 years. It's a skill. So they're like, this thing is just way too long. We had to get rid of like 200 words. So they sent it to me, and I did my first pass of getting rid of things like a and the. And then what I did was I identified the parts that I felt were wordy, posted just those few sentences into AI with a prompt of rewrite this to be shorter 10 different ways. And then I read the results, and the ones that I liked, I proposed to the kids. That saved me a lot of time. Right, because I was able to identify they were wordy quickly, but identifying how to fix it would have taken me a long time. And the reason I asked for 10 examples is because a lot of them were bad. The first time I did it, I asked how to make it shorter, and it's like, this is way worse than what we had. I mean, it's shorter, but it's bad. So by giving the 10 examples, I was like, okay, that gives me something to go on. One of them is statistically likely to be useful, and I can pick and choose what is useful to me. And also it was fun because I used an LLM as a language model, which is what it's designed for.
Cool.
I also use it to help me generate the Code Ranch newsletter. Please translate this into Western slang. Howdy, y'all. You cowpokes are like, it takes me forever to write like that because I'm a New Yorker. I don't write like that. So it's been awesome having the AI do it for me.
That's awesome. Are you are you into also like all the agents? So do you think you're going to?
I've played with them a little. I haven't used them professionally yet.
Right. Or do you think there is an opportunity there to maybe teach beginners also like
we're still talking about education. I was thinking about work.
Right.
For
both.
teaching beginners, yes, I do. I think there's an opportunity. I haven't seen it yet, but what I think the opportunity is for is learning style. I think if we can generate different agents, either personalized or for different learning styles, we'll be able to help people learn things better. And, it doesn't have to be programming. It can be math or English or history, right? Some people learn via stories or examples or role play. You can have, pretend you're Marie Antoinette and like discuss your experiences and have people engage and interview the AI historical figures. I think there's tons of opportunities there.
Yeah. Yes, because we had like so many programs also, like even like characters and development, and how do you turn that into a program, right? Yeah.
And thinking back, I would have loved to have that when I was in school. It would have been so much more fun.
I know.
And that's the story that educators should be talking about, not how are people going to use AI to cheat.
Right.
It's like people have been cheating since the dawn of time. This is not a new problem that we suddenly have to deal with. So it's always been true that if something didn't happen in a live proctored atmosphere, you couldn't trust it. So that hasn't changed just with AI, and yet that's all we think about.
Right. Yeah. that's true. Although there are like nice initiatives around education and
Yeah.
AI also, like like a learning style and
Yes.
and exercises that you can actually like having a class with like
Right.
different kids
Yeah.
who will. I mean, they can actually ask the example that they want,
Yeah.
for example.
And that stuff is great.
Yeah. Yeah, so some organizations are doing that, but
That's
yeah,
good,
in the
yeah.
majority that.
And it certainly
and
doesn't
it's-
make the newspaper.
Right. Not enough.
Yeah.
Totally agree. So, any other exciting things that you are planning to do with AI or not?
I don't even know. It's like it changes so fast. It's hard to predict what the next thing I'm going to do is, but that's what's nice, right?
Right.
The technology keeps changing and providing you with opportunities, and so much of it is just like stream of consciousness. I wonder what would happen if. The year ChatGPT came out, my friends and I were doing a virtual New Year's Eve party, so we're just hanging out on Zoom. And I mentioned ChatGPT, which nobody else had heard of because I was the only computer programmer in the group. So we spent about an hour playing with ChatGPT. Like we had to make a haiku about New Year's Eve. We tried to get it to write things in different languages. We learned that it could not speak Korean or Chinese at that time. This was years ago, so it probably
Right.
can now. So we went with our high school French and Spanish, and nobody was fluent, but it did a good enough job. And we just had fun with it, and like I like that exploring, and I think that influences my style of what I try. It's just like, oh, this seems fun. Let me try it and see what happens.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's a great companion to just like brainstorm with, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's basically what it is.
And that's how you know we're true technologists, that we
Right.
want to play and try things. Because I remember 10 years ago, someone's like, oh, you'll become a manager because you'll get bored with technology. It's like, no, I don't think I will. And, given that it still hasn't happened, I think I'm going to be okay.
Exactly. Okay, so we talked about the book.
Yes.
Anything else you wanted to talk about, chat about, or no?
It's a
Okay,
good
cool.
talk.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for stopping by. It was fun. So, thank you, everybody.